And that signals that it is time to begin the meeting. So I want to welcome everyone that is experiencing this broadcast or in person this morning to the Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico Zoom meeting. Today is August 8th, 2021. We are happy that you are here. And this morning we got up and we were just discussing that there's a little bit of cool in the air today. It feels almost fall-like in that it's kind of chilly this morning. We know it'll get warm as the day goes on, but it was a little bit chilly this morning. But anyway, we're glad that you're here and that everybody is healthy and happy. We suspect that some of our people may be traveling around and enjoying the summer as we have the rest of it. So anyway, Susan, we're glad that you are with us all the way from Belize. And Travis is here from California. Well, that's great. Dawn and Neva are with us on Zoom. In the sanctuary, we have Marion, and we have Margaret Cheesebro, we have Steve Barker, Jerry Lard, and myself, Ron Holloway. Don't forget. And also the fabulous Sheba. Sheba, the dog. Indeed? Yeah. I will show you Sheba. See Sheba?
Got a reaction.
Yeah. There we go. So, as far as for announcements, what we have is that we're going to have a board meeting directly after this meeting, if we can have a quorum, if we have enough people to show up to discuss the business of the fellowship. And we need to remind everyone that on the first Sunday in September, we will have a potluck, and I want to tell Jerry that I plan to be there. So you can put me down, okay? Everyone needs to let Jerry know whether we're going to be here and what you might be wanting to bring, so that we know that we have enough food and that everything is good, and not everybody brings chicken. So. Everybody brings too much. If we have too much, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that seems like that in the belief that all things are exactly as they are supposed to be, that we always have enough at potlucks. That I don't know if anyone has gone away hungry from a potluck at Fellowship or anywhere else for that matter. But anyway, we are glad that you are here. Margaret, would you give us an opening prayer, please? Okay, come over here.
Thank you. Dear God, ever expanding, ever extending unconditional love, thank you for being here with us. And though our numbers are somewhat scattered, we are all one, no matter where we are. And thank you for helping us to sense that and to know that you are in our midst, with us, around us, through us, in the spirit of Christ consciousness. Amen.
Good. Amen. Thank you, Margaret. Get us off, get our minds set up in a spiritual receptivity so that we may better absorb the message that Travis has for us today. So that's a good thing. All right. Our statement of faith is as follows. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. So our first song today is number 21 in the book, There is Sunshine in My Heart Today.
Mike, please. Some Well, now the extension is,
I don't know what happened to the extension.
well, it's through there, but. Okay.
Can you grab the extension in the back?
Yeah.
You got all tangled up.
Yeah, somehow. Check.
Jeff, can you hear us?
Okay. You ready? You ready, Steve?
I
Okay.
need to do one verse first.
Yeah.
There is sunshine in my soul today. It is glorious and bright, ever glowing with the warming ray. For Jesus is my light. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, and the peaceful, happy moments roll. For behold, Christ in every face, and there's sunshine in my soul. There is sunshine in my soul today. I know the Lord is near. The notes of peace in my heart, the joys of grace appear. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, peaceful, happy moments roll. For I behold the Christ in every face, and there's sunshine in my soul. There is gladness in my soul today, and hope and love and praise. For blessings which He gives me now are brightening all my days. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, and the peaceful, happy moments roll. For I behold the Christ in every face, and there's sunshine in my soul.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Margaret and Steve, bringing us some music to enhance our service. Music kind of puts the jelly on our roll, doesn't it? I mean, the roll would be fine, but when we have music, it just kind of makes everything a little more pleasant. Okay, while we're waiting, Steve has going into the other room and he has our spiritual reading today, but he wants to do it from a remote location, which is back in our other room that we have. The room that you have not experienced, Susan, because it wasn't in existence when you were here last.
Thank you for letting me see it.
No, I've got Steve's ready. I will make it. Okay. Okay, Steve, are you ready with our spiritual reading? No, not over the, no, you're muted.
Okay, how about that?
We can hear you now.
Okay, well, I can't hear any of you, so, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to ad lib it here. I'd like to dedicate today's spiritual reading to a couple of people. First is Rick Greenacre. Some of you might have known him as Santa Claus, and he died last Sunday. Went on to the Santa land in heaven, I'm sure. But Rick was also, among other things, a Vietnam vet, a Mason, an eternal Boy Scout, which is something after my heart. And he's going to be missed by all of us. He was also a friend of Bill W. So for all of you. And then the second person I'd like to dedicate this to is my own brother, known as Gizmo, Bradley Paul Barker. He turned 68 today. So to both Rick and Brad, the name of the talk is Team Up with Spirit. It's from Science of Mind. Today's daily reading, as a matter of fact. And it's called Team Up with Spirit. The quotes are, "Whatever enters your life is but the material expression of some belief in your own mind. The kind of body you have, the kind of home you have, the kind of work you do, and the kind of people you meet are all conditioned and correspond to the deepest mental concepts you hold." That's from Emmett Fox, who is a great New Thought speaker. We have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. And that's from Ernest Holmes' Creative Mind. I'm going to shut the door because I hear a slight echo coming through. Okay, hopefully that's better. I'm kind of challenged here because I'm reading off of a tablet into a Zoom meeting on a cell phone, so wish me luck here. Marianne Williamson says, "You can let the same force that makes flowers grow and planets move run your life, or you can do it yourself. Most of the time, that sounds pretty easy choice to make. But I'm sure that we have all had times when we decided to go it alone and later realized we had made a big mistake. When we invite God into our lives, everything changes. We have a power working for us in ways we cannot imagine. And all we have to do is say, okay, I'm ready to team up." Joel Goldsmith wrote that to him, the most comforting passage in the Bible was, "May peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you." We don't find peace when we look for it externally. Every issue in life is determined by our consciousness. When we do our inner work, we become a conscious partner in our conscious evolution. All we could ever want is right where we are. We simply need to accept it. Accepting is mental. Spirit has no limitations. We may have a consciousness of lack and limitation and therefore experience those conditions. But that's on us, because God can do for us only what it can do through us. So why not begin trusting in Spirit today and seeing what changes in your life one day at a time? As Jack Canfield writes, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just the first step. And then the affirmation reads, "Today I open myself up to partnering with Spirit. I invite God into my life and trust that my good has no bounds. My life overflows with joy, peace, compassion, and love." I thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Travis attended a Church of Religious Science for the first time in Durango, Colorado in 1986. There he began his studies in the science of mind, which he continued at the Guidance Church of Religious Science in Los Angeles. On May 1st, 1991, Travis arrived in Moscow, Russia, and became the first and only outreach ministry worker for Soviet New Thought Initiative. Subsequently became the United Church of Religious Science, to live in the Soviet Union, although many others followed after the breakup of the USSR. He oversaw the first translations of Science of Mind literature into Russian. He organized the first International New Thought Conference in the former Soviet Union in St. Petersburg in October of 1991. After taking practitioner 1 at Guidance. Travis began teaching accredited classes in the former Soviet Union while studying and completing practitioner 2 remotely. After 6 years of outreach missionary between 1991 and 2002, he returned to Long Beach, California, and since then has served at Namaste Church of Religious Science, Guidance, and Reverend Patricia King Center for Inspirational Living, and lastly, the Southern Cal Beach Center for Southern California Beach Center for Spiritual Living. He has facilitated book study groups using Eckhart Tolle's books several times and occasionally serves as guest speakers on Sundays, which is really nice because that's what we like. Twice monthly, he hosts Seal Beach's International Heart of Peace Meditations, and he is committing to creating a world that works for everyone. So let us welcome Travis. You're on.
Well, thank you, folks. I appreciate the opportunity to, I'm honing my craft with you guys, and it's a great opportunity to do that. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I shared the platform with our minister here at the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living for the first time, and that was a great experience. I like to open. Oh, first of all, I want to say, as I formulate this message, I'm thinking I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are hardy, hang in there, into the message, into new thought people. And I sometimes think, well, yes, it's great to share with you. I would like to see the tent move out and include people that are less familiar and so maybe that day's coming. Because I was reflecting on the fact that such a person as Rocco Errico, who had a regular feature in Science of Mind magazine, spoke at the Fellowship of the Spirit in Aztec long ago. So this fellowship has such a great tradition. So I'll open, as I usually do, by saying that that God, or as we like to think of God as the divine presence, our source and creator, has but one will, and that is to fully express itself at every point in the universe. And you and I and everyone else are one of those points. And that brings up something that I had some thoughts from the spiritual reading, is that since the divine is fully present right here and now where I am, I don't need to invite it in. I need to invite my authentic, true self into my life. And I will be speaking much more on that specific point when I am there in Farmington in September with a topic, something along the lines of the principal character appearing. But for now, we're talking about taking steps toward perfection. This is something that benefits everyone and everything, no exceptions. But this perfection is something we really need to talk about, settle on the meaning of it perhaps. It is common in New Thought to consider perfection to be inherent in all of creation. You know, and that might not be something that is something, but probably every one of us at times cannot see. So let's start with some concrete examples. What do we consider to be perfection in the realm of human endeavor? And the first thing that jumps out to me is one of the most spectacular places I've ever been that had the effect upon me that Zion National Park or the Oregon coast or Bryce Canyon has on me. And that is the Palace Square in St. Petersburg. Astounding to be there and turn 360 degrees and look around. Just perfection the architecture, the setting. Also, how about the Eiffel Tower? How about the Statue of Liberty or the Walt Disney Concert Hall in LA, if you've seen that design depicted in photos, or had the pleasure of being there. How about the Sydney Opera House in Australia? These places just seem to have perfection depicted in the work of the architects. What about music? The best-selling jazz albums of all time, Dave Brubeck's Time Out, tends to alternate from time to time with Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. Those albums are #1 selling jazz albums of all time because for many people, they represent perfection in music. For me, I would mention Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band or Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Perhaps you might think of Beethoven's Fifth or Ninth Symphonies or Bach's Second Brandenburg Concerto. So while I am not so familiar as with music with artists who sculpt or paint, I am certain that each artist also, each of these type of artists also imparts something of his or her nature into the artistic endeavors that and creations that they make. The true enthusiast of every art form is likely to be able to recognize the artist simply by exposure to their works. If a person loves Claude Debussy and hears something by that composer that is unfamiliar, they are very likely to recognize it as being work of Debussy. I personally many times have heard music by Miles Davis, Beethoven, even and Mozart, that music that I don't think I've ever heard before, but I recognize it because their signature is in the work that they've done. It is clear that the unique, one-of-a-kind character and nature of the artist shows up and is reflected in their creations, giving some indication as who is responsible for this work. But I want to turn our attention to the original artist. The original artist sculpted the mountain peaks, even the ones underwater, which reminds me of something I heard recently when they were showing an article on television about the 100-foot waves that come into Portugal. It's because there's a canyon I think it was 5 times bigger than the Grand Canyon, that funnels the water up to where that energy builds up to 100-foot waves there outside of Portugal. Now, the original artist also composed all of the bird songs, landscaped the tundra, the savannas, like they have there in Belize that are so beautiful, the rainforest, landscape the deserts, continues to paint regularly the blazing Arizona sunsets, choreographed the play of kittens and puppies, is the brilliant engineer back of all ecosystems. Do we doubt that there's brilliance in this setting? Think of the giant tree dropping its leaves in the fall, providing the medium for all these tiny critters to go about eating the leaves, munching, blowing their noses, going to the restroom, and creating an abundance of nutrients for the winter snow, the melting snows or the spring rains to filter down through the soil so that ultimately the tree is consuming its own recycled self. That's brilliant. This is absolute intelligence that runs throughout all of creation. So what does this tell us about the original artist? You know, one of the things that fascinates me is a correlation that I have recognized for many, many years now. On the one hand, there are descriptions and depictions by painters, depictions by composers like Beethoven writing the Pastoral Symphony to characterize walking in nature. There are depictions and descriptions of nature where nature has been untouched and untainted by the activities of man, where we see infinity as we look into the heavens, the stars. We see beauty, power, harmony, intelligence, order, balance, perfection. Now, it's interesting that we characterize the natural setting this way, whether it's deserts, forests, oceans. And then on the other hand, it is said by all the wisest people that we have ever known that God is all of these things. So here we have the original artist, who is considered to be by those who are very insightful, perceptive, and have used spiritual practices to be in touch with what the divine is. And everything divine is how we describe nature. So again, the artist, the original artist, is reflected in its creation, just as it is with men and women who are artists. So let us consider now that it has been widely proclaimed that we are sons and daughters of this presence, this original artist. We can turn to Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook, page 35. There is a universal mind, spirit, intelligence that is the origin of everything. It is first cause. It is God. It has been said in both Christianity and beyond that all that has been made by this one creator. And because God is infinite, everywhere present, there is nothing outside of God. God is all in all. Therefore, there is nothing out of which we could have been made other than God or the divine. On page 36 of the textbook, in a section entitled "The Seed of Perfection is Hidden Within," Holmes writes, "We are made from this thing. That is why we are called the Son of God. We know that this is what we are because we could not be anything else." And a song I used to sing with the choir at Guidance Church of religious science in Inglewood proclaimed, "We come from royalty, an aristocratic dynasty. The goal of life, you see, is to remember who we are." Far too many people do not remember who they are, or in their experience of life, perhaps never had a sense that they knew in the first place who they truly are. Some of them were likely to be behind that bumper sticker that came out, it's been decades ago now, that and I was a little disgusted by it because it was so ignorant and unawakened, but the bumper sticker said, "Life is a bitch and then you die." Well, then some people came out in response to that bumper sticker and put out a bumper sticker that said, "Life is a beach." Two vastly different views of life. Your presence here today is a pretty strong indicator that you are at least leaning into the idea. You certainly have been exposed to the idea that life is a beach. Life is a pleasure and a blessing. So where are you going? Which direction are you heading in? You make that choice. The ball is in your court all the time. Let's talk about that. The Science of Mind textbook starts with a chapter called "The Thing Itself," the thing being, to Ernest Holmes' term for the creator, the source of all things. The next chapter is "The Way It Works." And I feel it's important to say something about the way it works. Plato said, "Thoughts are things." That was an understanding that thoughts, they may not be things readily apparent when you have the thoughts or the beliefs, but they will show up. This is often something going on in life that is called the law of mind in New Thought. I like to call it a cosmic dynamic in which, what we put out there comes back to us. without understanding, let's look at something more concrete. How gravity works, we have no idea. Without understanding how gravity works, there were laws put forth describing what effects we could expect to get from its use. Likewise, with the law of mind, with this cosmic dynamic, without understanding how it does what it does, we have a great deal of understanding as to what we can expect from our conscious use of it. Our conscious use of it. The trouble people get into is that people are using this law, whether they know it or not, just like they're using the law of gravity. And we cannot be excused from ignorance of the law and not knowing that it exists. That's what Ernest Holmes says. He says that the law excuses no one from the effects of the use of it. And so this cosmic dynamic makes it true that what as you believe, so shall it be, or what goes around comes around, or that I will reap what I sow. So I'm going to turn again to the textbook on page 38. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something, call it what you will. The sum total of all of our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. This is why the ball is always in your court and my court. It's always up to us. There's no victims here. Frederick Bales Frederick Bales was a great teacher. He cured himself of diabetes before there was insulin. And he was a teacher back in the 30s and 40s, a contemporary of Ernest Holmes. And one of his favorite statements that I like is he would say, power flows to the focus of attention. The focus of attention is my choice. The focus of attention is your choice. It's our business to choose what that is. So are you telling yourself that life is a beach and taking steps to make it so, steps toward perfection? You know, it's an interesting thing. We say, be the peace you want to see in the world. And that's a very popular statement, that peace begins with me. I should be the peace that I want to see in the world. Well, earlier I mentioned how people have commonly depicted and described nature that has been untouched, not tainted by the presence of man. That nature is everything divine. We've been over that. And so now I want to turn that around and say, be the perfection that you see in God's creation, and realize that it is that we are designed, created from the very beginning to fit into that perfection like a piece in a puzzle perfectly. And yet so many have not come to understand that we should be living from that sense of perfection that comes from within and matches the perfection in God's creation. I met two people, so long ago, 1988, 89, at the legendary Huntington Beach Church of Religious Science with Dr. Reverend Peggy Bassett. I met two people. One became a very good friend with him. A friend of mine, I worked with him a lot. He went to all the workshops, all the lectures. He knew it all. He studied neuro-linguistic programming and so many other things. And he knew it all. I could not say anything to him that he doesn't already know. And yet he continues to live all this time, going back 30 years, more than that, caught up in drama, in daily drama that is is totally the opposite of divine. This stuff I have a teacher that likes to say, it's not only taught, it needs to be caught. We need not to only understand these things intellectually, but we need to catch the meaning and bring it in deep in a way that we live from it. So my friend, I just had to stop seeing him, because every time I saw him, it was stories of the drama in his family. And I witnessed him arguing and fighting with his tenants and neighbors. Ridiculous to have that kind of knowledge and apply none of it. The other person I met became my girlfriend. Same thing. You know, as the years went by, I had to stop calling her even on her birthdays, which I used to like to do, but her tales of woe were ongoing forever, not realizing that as we relive the negative things in our lives, as we relive those, as we tell those stories, we are giving energy to things being wrong. And that's why I stopped years ago. I started remembering, don't tell the stories of the things that I have drawn to me that are experiences I don't want to have, because I'm giving power to that type of thing happening to me again. But this ex-girlfriend didn't get it. She didn't know that power flows to the focus of attention. Enough of the sad stories. She chooses to live life as if it's a bitch and doesn't realize that the saddest story only wins on Queen for a Day. So we're getting down to the real nitty gritty here. Even before they ask, I have answered. This is written in the Bible. The gift is given from the beginning. It is our nature. Remember, God flows forth into creation and becomes an outpicturing of its divinity in all places, oceans, deserts, rainforests, the heavens above. We see magnificence and infinity and majesty in everything. That same, we are reflections and emanations of that same divine nature. The gift is already given. We don't need to ask for anything. We don't need to invite God. We need to wake up to who and what we are. God is light. I am light all the time. God is love. I am love all the time. Say the same thing about peace, joy, and wisdom. I am joy. God is joy all the time. All the time means it doesn't depend on what's going on around me. It doesn't depend on the context of my daily life, my workplace, my family. I am joy, love, peace, wisdom, light all the time. We are thinking, we're going to go back to page 38 of the textbook again. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, then there is flowing through us a creative something, call it what you will. The sum total of all our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. The ball's in our court. We are not possibly victims. If we're victims of anything at any time, we're victims of our own thinking, our own beliefs. There's been many studies about the effect of specific numbers of people praying for peace, whether in a city, international affairs. And Greg Braden in his Science of Miracles DVD says that research has culminated in an exact figure for how many people it takes to make a difference in the world. And this is an amazing number, the square root of 1% of a targeted population. The square root of 1%, really? I can make that much of a difference? That's like 2 people in a company of 400. That's like, what is it in the fellowship of the Spirit? Like 1/10 of a person. And it's 8,000 people in the whole world. This says, I matter, you matter, our choices matter. Let us agree, you and I, that we will no longer tolerate our own behavior, which so grossly contradicts our natures. Let us say together, we shall catch ourselves when frustrated, impatient, angry, resentful. Catch ourselves. Practice awareness. Enter not into forgetfulness. Let us not just walk out of this gathering today with a good feeling that fades by sundown when we watch the news tonight. That is not as what called for. We're living in such a crazy world full of, record-setting floods, fires, egomaniacal leaders of countries and military factions. We're living in a world of so much divisiveness. The solution, what needs to happen is more and more of us waking up and remembering who and what we are, agreeing not to tolerate in our own behavior that which grossly contradicts our true natures. We are love, joy, beauty, and wisdom, and all things divine all the time. And if we can remember that, and the degree to which we remember that, that's how we can be a healing presence in our own lives, in our families, in our communities, in our world. The biggest difference between ourselves and Jesus of Nazareth is the percentage of time that we remember who we are. On page 39, Ernest Holmes writes in the textbook, as high as we shall make our mark in mind and spirit, so high shall be its outward manifestation in our material world. Let us be who we were designed to be from the beginning and go forth and be those lights, all joy and peace in believing. Thank you.
Well, we need to do our applause again because I had us on mute. So I was trying to unmute us, but I didn't. I wasn't successful as quickly as I wanted to be. Thank you, Travis. And it just reminds me of something we practice here: is that show me where God is not. Show me where God is not. God is everything, everywhere, at all times, and God is love, peace, and joy and abundance. We must need only to receive it. That's what we practice in this place.
And absolutely. That's why I said I'm preaching to the choir.
Absolutely.
I don't think
we need to be reminded. To be validated is a good thing. Always. I think Jerry's probably going to speak to it, but it doesn't matter what book that we are reading or who the speaker is. It seems that every time we have a book study in the morning before our deal, and we read and we discuss things. And invariably, what we were reading an hour ago is what comes through in our message from our speaker. And that was true this morning. We're reading one of the Seth books, and in 1973, and he was reminding us that not to go back in our past and remember things in a negative light to validate our victimhood today. Okay, that we can do that, but that's a self-defeating practice, and that's pretty much what you were saying today. We need to accept the present is our power place, our present, and our present is divine in its nature, and that we are loved, and we should project that love consciously is what is good. You agree with that?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, Jerry has something she would like to say.
Just what Ron said, he stole my thunder. Thank you very much, Travis. That was wonderful. And like Ron said, it just reiterated what we read this morning. If you want to remember the bad stuff out of the past and bring it to the present and project it into the future, that's exactly what you do. And if you want to find something good in the past and help it make your present better and your future more positive, then that's what you do. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, it'll be great.
Steve Barker.
Yeah. So Travis, thanks for expounding on my little science of mind reading there. And we might be preaching to the choir right now, but I'm sitting in a church where, there's only like 4 or 5 people out there, and the rest is empty pews. But I can imagine it, with a lot more people in it. And so I think that we're building solidarity with the choir, and that's our proper place right now. And by the time you come, heck, we're going to be blossoming. So
Okay, well, you have 6 weeks. And hey, anything is possible. I am hoping to bring some people out of the woodwork that I know from years ago. I hope to see some familiar faces. We'll see.
Travis, you're so incredible because I've known you for 30 years. And every time when you talk, I am just so amazed. But it was funny because that's what we've been talking about all week. When I say we, my fellow Mason and I, that's all we were talking about. So everything you were saying, and we go, yeah. And then when you said about Greg Braden, it only takes 2 out of 400 to make a difference. I mean, when you think about that, how incredible. So it's not the numbers, it's the quality, it's the dedication, it's the commitment. And when I look at you and when I've known you for so long, your commitment, your dedication, your spiritual growth it's just so overwhelming. I can't tell you how much I am so blessed to have known you all these years. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. But it didn't just happen in 30 years. It's been 35 years since I met you. 35. And 30 years since I showed up in Moscow. I mean, that was in May, 30 years ago. Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
All right. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share with Travis? Okay. Well, we thank you, Travis, for coming and sharing with us. And your messages are always pertinent, and they're always something that we can use on a practical level. For me, spirituality is not woo-woo stuff. It is stuff that I can incorporate in my life today to make my life and the people around me's lives better. And your message always contains those elements. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
We
Yes.
are looking forward to seeing you in person in about a month. So that'll be great. That'll be great. I hope that you're able to make it. Whenever you do make it, it'll be a good, joyous time. So that's good. Okay. At this time, you're going to get the basket. We're going to observe our celebration of abundance, where we're past the hat and able to give in a physical, material way to contribute to the expenses of the income.
I had to do that, pardon me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So what we say is, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive through infinity. I am prosperous. Thank you. So you ready? You're up next. And now we'll have our second song by Margaret and Steve, which is on page 346 in your brown book. I am ready for a miracle.
microphone, please. Smooth.
Okay, here we go.
I'm ready for a miracle, ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one, ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is open, open all the way. I do accept a miracle, do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle. You receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle today. I'm ready for a miracle. Ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one, ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is open, open all the way. I do accept a miracle. Do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle. Do receive a miracle. Do receive a miracle today.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Margaret and Steve. So there we are. So, our announcements for the day. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share? We do have one that's been requested to remind everyone that Hoyle Osborne and Jane Voss will perform The Romance of the West in song at the Aztec Museum at 7 p.m. Friday, September 10th, not August 13th. Okay? On August 13th, which is next Friday at the museum, an 11-member ensemble led by Mike Hess will perform Hope, Not Hate, music composed by prisoners of Nazi concentration camps during World War II. The music was smuggled out of the camps on pieces of scrap paper that have been found, published and offered to the world. All of these concerts are free of charge. That's at the Aztec Museum on Main Street in Aztec. So if you can be there, you will enjoy it. It'll be a lot of fun, and it's free. You know, it's free. Also, I don't know if we're going to be able to have a board meeting right after. We have about maybe 4 members. We maybe have a board member meeting, a short one. Also, our next, the first Sunday in September, we will have a potluck please contact Jerry Lard so that we can get an accurate account of who's going to be here and what you're going to bring. So we'll make sure to have enough for everyone.
Oh, I'm having a hard time hearing you because I walked outside. I remember the first time I spoke, I mentioned the eucalyptus trees out here when I looked out the window. So I just thought I'd give you a panorama of the beautiful eucalyptus trees. We've got a very cloudy day today, which is unusual. Anyway, that's the end of my sharing. Carry on.
Well, show us the trees. We love trees.
Live.
Oh, I was guest speaker this morning.
I love trees. My least favorite trees are the volunteer elms that come up in my yard in abundance every year, and they just take over, and I have to cut them down and poison them. It's just a mess. But anyway, that's my least favorite tree. My most favorite tree are all the other ones. So anyway, thank you, Travis. Are you at the Center for Spiritual Living now? You're not at your home? You're at
in Phil Beach, yeah. Yeah, I do this because my internet access at home is hotspot on my phone, and I get disconnected with an incoming phone call.
Mhm.
So, and plus I'm here for the 10 o'clock service too. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's almost 10 o'clock there, isn't it?
yes,
So
it
you're
is.
An hour
Yes.
behind it, so it works out really well. Well, we're really
I
glad
get
that
to
you came
relive 10
today.
o'clock.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors there in California. And we really thank you for sharing with us yourself, your heart, your thoughts, your experience, and we appreciate it. So,
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. So I'll see you in September, as the song goes.
all right, we'll see you in September. All right. I think that probably pretty much does it for today. Would like to add to our announcements that on Wednesday nights, we have Course in Miracles. Susan Barnes facilitates that meeting. She picks a topic, and then she has researched and has passages of Course in Miracles to support that theme. And it's always interesting. It's always different. And so I don't know, there's not anybody here that's not familiar, I don't think, with Course in Miracles, but it's always a good time. So if you could be there on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock our time for Course in Miracles. On Thursday nights, we have Power of Eight, led by Margaret Cheesebro, where we actually send out light. It's a form of prayer. We're sending out our light and our love and our intentions for those people who are having challenges in their life, whether they be disease or whether they just be relationships, whatever that they're having difficulty with. They have requested that we pray for them, and we do it all together. We do it collectively all at the same time because it is our experience. I don't know that it's a belief, but I think it's a knowing at this point that when we do things together, it multiplies our love and our intentions and our energy, and it multiplies them. And there have been some good effects. We prayed for our brother Rick Greenacre for almost a year, and then last Sunday morning he was healed. He transitioned from the physical life to a spiritual life, which is the natural course of things on this planet. That's what happens. And it's not, I don't believe in death. I don't know that. I believe that we transition, that our consciousness continues, and that our journey is just this life in our physical body is just a part of our eternal journey that continues on. And we wish Rick all the best, and we wish the best for his wife, who is still here, Andrea. And that's the ones that we never need. Really, we don't need to pray for those who have gone on anymore because they're in a good place. But those that are left behind are going to miss them. and they will, it takes away from their life. And there's a certain amount of grieving that takes place, and it should, but we send our love to those people especially so that they can get on with their lives and enjoy in abundance. So, does anyone want to offer a prayer? If not, I will offer a benediction. Father, Mother God, as we part and go our separate ways today, we ask that you would bless each and every person who is represented here, whether they be virtual or whether they be physically present in this sanctuary. Help us to always be aware of your love and your abundance, and help us to realize that we are protected and that this universe is a safe place. It is a good place to be, and that our job is just to love one another, to love ourselves, and to support one another in whatever efforts we are having to support us in good times and bad times. Help us in those efforts. May God bless you and keep you, protect you until we meet again. In the name of the Christ consciousness, amen. So, there we go. Thanks, everyone. See you again.
I want